Hi, everyone. So today I'm going to be interviewing Kieran Wild from First Nature Tours. He is the founder. And behind us is the photo from our most recent regenerative trip in Oregon. Hey, Kieran, how are you doing?
Good morning, Sally. I'm great. Thanks.
All right, so first I was going to let you guys watch a little video from our most recent trip just to get an idea of what doing regenerative trips with First Nature Tours looks like.
Don't fake it, fake it, fake it.
All right, it was as much fun as the video looked, I promise.
Should have had that soundtrack the whole time.
I know. All right, so Kieran, can you tell me a bit about First Nature Tours and regenerative travel?
I sure can. Yeah. So First Nature Tours is a tour operator based here in Oregon. We specialize in custom private tours all over the Pacific Northwest. It's kind of like Northern California all the way up into Alaska. One of the things that's unique about what we do is we're kind of an on-demand travel service for the most part. So we don't do a ton of these set departures like the one you went on. Mostly what we do is offer custom experiences for people that are totally based on their interests, and we work with them really closely to design their entire experience, start to finish, including hotel accommodations, custom transportation, private tour guide, all the attractions, all the activities. So that's our typical product. One of the other things we've started doing is these regenerative travel projects, which is what you went on as a set departure. And we're doing these in a really highly collaborative way with other industry partners. One of them is Global Family Travel up in Seattle, who has been doing some really interesting programs internationally for a long time. They have these three tenets called Learn, Serve, and Immerse that really guide their experiences internationally with different cultures, with a volunteer experience like what we did, and then some educational components as well. So they wanted to do something domestically because everything was shut down for international travel last year, and they identified First Nature as a really good partner because we're really focused on sustainability in tourism and travel. And so we had this idea to collaborate on some Pacific Northwest experiences that really use those tenets of Learn, Serve, and Immerse, and also use our destination knowledge to kind of pull the whole thing together. So that also happened at the same time as Travel Oregon was looking to fund some destination-ready programs with grant money. We had a whole bunch of these smaller destination marketing organizations like Visit Willamette Valley and Lane County down in Southern Oregon that wanted to put some money and some resources into making these things happen to kind of help the whole destination come back from some tragedies like the pandemic and the wildfires of 2020 and previous even to that, a lot of wildfires we've been having here the last decade. So yeah, regenerative. You want me to talk about regenerative travel too? That was a mouthful.
Yeah, no, keep going.
And so regenerative travel, for those of you that aren't familiar with the concept, it's taking sustainable travel, which is, you can kind of think of that as like a leave no trace principle, where you're going somewhere and you're just kind of like being very respectful of it and leaving it as you found it. The principle of regenerative travel takes that a step farther and actually tries to leave the destination better than when you found it. So we're actually engaging in activities that improve the destination, improve the livelihood for the people there, improve the natural environment there, and improve the economy there by leaving our tourism dollars and spending them there as responsibly as possible. So, that regenerative travel concept is kind of a newer thing, and we're hoping that this will kind of be a trend in the industry moving forward as we've had time to sit back and reimagine how things really are and reevaluate the way that we're doing travel and tourism. I'm really hoping that this model that we've created here is going to be something that gets taken other places, and we're definitely going to be doing it for years to come.
Yeah, what are some examples of regenerative work?
That's a good question. So the regenerative work that we were doing on the program you were on is specifically aimed at impact reduction. So we were working on trails that are over visited by people because the trails that were affected by the fire have been closed down. 2020 wildfires that we had here. So in the Mackenzie River corridor where we were based, there's 2020 had some of the biggest wildfires we've ever seen in recorded history, and a lot of these really popular recreational areas are no longer accessible right now because they've been so badly burned and not safe. What that does is it shifts a lot of the visitation to less trails and to trails that wouldn't be getting as high a use otherwise, and then those trails get damaged. So what we're trying to do is, specifically on the program we were on together, is go out and maintain those trails and try and repair them from overusage. Now, earlier in the year, when it's a little bit cooler and wetter, we were doing planting in these burned areas to help the forest more naturally regenerate from the wildfires previous to last year. And then we're going to be in wilderness areas coming up on this next one, doing some more of a similar type of work of planting and the removal of hazard trees.
Yeah, awesome. And I understand that you also lead some trips that are specifically aimed at including diversity. Do you want to talk a little bit about why it's important to include diversity in environmental stewardship?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important that everybody's got a seat at the table when it comes to using our natural resources and enjoying, the outdoors in general. And a lot of the places, especially in more rural parts of the country, are not always feeling welcoming to people of color or to people in the LGBTQ community. So one of the things that, I'm as a member of the LGBTQ community myself, I have a vested interest, obviously, in feeling safe in places that we recreate, especially in rural America. But I'm really kind of passionate about the cultural immersion components where we can include them. And that's one of those ways that we kind of try and hit the DEI mark as well, by educating people about Native culture where we travel. And the Pacific Northwest is a very rich destination for Native culture. And we have all these awesome indigenous peoples here with thousands and thousands of years of knowledge and history and storytelling and really rich cultures that really get breezed over a lot when people are visiting this destination. And so it's kind of twofold. We're trying to make sure that we prepare the places that we're going to for the DEI movement that we're kind of part of right now, making sure that, the guides and outfitters and lodging and all the places that we partner with are really educated about the importance of being sensitive to other communities than the ones they're used to. And then also trying to get people engaged with the cultures that we have here locally, like listening to their stories, buying things in their shop that are handmade and locally produced and not just made in China. It's serious. I mean, like there's like a lot of places you can go to the Gorge, for instance. You can go to one of these gift shops there, and you can buy 90% of stuff is just made in China, and it's really crappy like plastic stuff. Or you can buy something that was handmade for a lot more money, but you're supporting someone out there in that community that that's their livelihood, and it's much more important to leave that mark. I think take something away that's impactful.
Yeah, no, it sounds incredibly important. It was so great going on the trip to the Pacific Northwest and getting to learn so much from you about the history of my name. Sahali is a Pacific Northwest name, and I knew about the one mountain that I was named after, but I didn't know really the history behind the word fully, or the fact that all the different tribes in the area had like kind of a trading language. And you took me to Sahali Falls. That was amazing. Yeah. It was great to be immersed in that culture. And I feel like if I didn't take the time to go on this trip with someone who knew about that, I would have missed out on that completely, even though it's literally my name.
Yeah, that's the importance of having a guide when you can, and not everybody likes to have guided experiences. And for a long time, even as a guide, I was always do it myself, or I'm like, I can do that myself. I'll figure it all out myself. But even as I've gotten older and learned to appreciate, the extra benefit of having that interaction, of like having someone that knows the destination really well and can kind of, bring it to life a little bit more and take you to those off the beaten path places. And maybe you wouldn't have known there was a Sally Falls right by where you're actually traveling. You know?
I know.
And so those kind of things are, I think, really important to think about too. You know, really using the local resources there, and it helps you be sustainable and knowledgeable about your visitation of the place.
Yeah. So with that in mind, when and where are your next trips?
Well, the next regenerative travel programs we're doing are, the next one is in I think 2 weeks out on the Olympic Peninsula, and that's going to be with a local tribe out there, the Jamestown Squalum. We're doing a cultural immersion component, and then we're doing salmon habitat restoration program as the volunteer part of it, as the service part. So it's going to be really cool. It's going to really tie in thematically with the Pacific Northwest, because salmon is a huge part of our economy here. It's part of our native culture here. And, you know, it's part of the lifeblood of our ecology as well, of all these ecosystems that really depend on that salmon to come back every year and bring those nutrients from the ocean. So anyway, that's a really cool one that we're doing very soon in June. And then the next one that's similar to what you went on, which is going to be down on the Mackenzie corridor, is at the end of August, the last weekend in August. And then we have 2 more of them after that, one in September, one in October. So.
All right, so there's lots to book.
yeah, there's a few more opportunities out there this year. And then, you know, we'll be doing these again in the future for sure. So there's plenty of work to do out there, and we're committed to continuing the work on our end.
Well, thank you for all of your work, and thank you for joining us this morning on this live stream, Kieran.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
All right, bye.
Ciao.
All right, guys, head to First Nature Tours to book your trip, and go to the Outdoor Journal to read more about regenerative travel and outdoor inclusion. Thanks for joining us, everyone.